and gentlemen, welcome back to the Deadmines. If you've only been gone for a few seconds and you clicked the handy link, then I suppose welcoming you back would be a little redundant. You never went anywhere. But it's the sentiment that counts, folks, and I think that's actually what this instance is all about. Very clever segue. It's about invoking a sense of nostalgia and the sentiment that is tied into this particular dungeon and the memories that are associated with it. I don't have any memories of this dungeon. Actually, no, that's not true. I would be going out of bounds to say that. I have one memory of this dungeon. It's called wool cloth farming. I did it once or twice. Then I got sick of it, because I could never work out how to get into the bloody place. But yeah, I suppose it holds a lot more memories for Alliance players than it does for Horde. Not that the Horde equivalent, which I suppose is either going to be Ragefire Chasm or Wailing Caverns, really evokes anything for me, but hey. Right, let's get back on this dungeon then, shall we? What's going on right here? Well, this is some of the easiest trash you're going to find, especially if it happens to have those mages with them, because, well, they don't really help the team much, let me put it that way. Oh god! Oh god! It's a trap! Oh. Yeah, if you run into this, you die instantly. Rogues come out of nowhere. They come out of stealth and stab you in the face. It's kind of fun. No doubt unsuspecting tanks will end up getting killed very quickly by this, or anyone that's running ahead or doing anything dumb. Anyway, back to the mages for a second, before I was so rudely interrupted by being stabbed in the neck. The mages cast a field, a rage field. It increases damage done to you by 50%, but it also increases the damage you do by 50%. So, I wouldn't recommend putting the ads in that rage field, because if you do, then your tank might end up dying very quickly, especially if multiple ads end up inside it. Move them out of the rage field, put your ranged DPS in the rage field. Oh, and just to make matters even more amusing, they stack. So, if it happens to cast two very close to each other, enjoy 100% damage boost. And enjoy being one-shot if you get hit. Risk-reward, folks. Risk-reward. I might add that that concept is way underused in WoW in general. Wrath has been particularly guilty of this. Risk-reward is so important when dealing with... Oh, God! Why? Why? The pain! Ugh. As I was saying, risk-reward is so very, very important when dealing with games like this. It's what pushes people towards harder and harder challenges. The ratio is important. The bigger risk you take, the bigger reward you should get. And I don't think Wrath has really done that all that well, honestly. For instance, if we talk about proportion, we can talk about the fact that you get worse items from Ulduar, which has harder fights, than you do from TOC. There are fights in Ulduar which, even on normal mode, are harder than ICC, and certainly way harder than TOC, and TOC is a bloody joke. You've also got other situations where risk-reward is brought in, and that's primarily with achievements. It's like, you risk doing a fight in a non-standard and often contrived a dumb way in order to get a Virtual Scout's Merit Badge. I can't say that I find that content particularly compelling. I would also argue that the items, say, that you get from heroic modes of actual 25-man and 10-man dungeons are nowhere near good enough. I'm going to do a fight that's 5 times harder for an item that is, what, 5-10% better? Really? I suppose Blizzard is kind of lucky that the kind of person that will do a hard mode and will actually work towards it isn't all that concerned about whether or not they get an item that is, say, equivalent to the difficulty jump that they have just done, but I'm sure they would certainly prefer it. I suppose it's difficult in terms of balancing more so than anything, but some degree of creativity and a little bit of effort being put in would be very, very nice when it comes to the hard mode content. Now, it's time we blow a hole in this. Let's give it a bash. Now, this is, of course, heroic mode, so apparently if you stand too close, that will actually kill you. Just FYI. We get a quick pull that comes in here. There's not an awful lot to worry about with these pulls, really. Those whirling blades are quite unpleasant, but they can be very easily healed. Don't let the ads stand in the field of rage. And, of course, a little bit of crowd control never hurt anybody. Yes, there you go. You can get a stack of it. I'm actually standing in the wrong place, which is the scrubby thing to do. But for the most part, the DPS does tend to very easily stay alive. I suppose the job of being ranged DPS is not exactly a stressful one. We get to stand there and try and do optimum on raid encounters and things like that, and we don't tend to get hit by too many things, especially not giant flying monstrous parrots. I think that could be very easily resolved by adding abilities that do actually affect the entire group, that are not necessarily intensive on the healer and are reliant on the DPS to not suck horribly. The only requirement we seem to have a lot of the time is nuke harder, so it dies quicker, so we don't die before it dies. And I understand that as a role, I just would like to be more engaged as a DPS. And how would you do that? Well, in terms of trash, I would like trash that had those insta-kill abilities that involved us doing something. The DPS has got to move, the DPS has got to focus. If the DPS sucks and gets itself killed, then it screws up the group. We all know that if the healer screws up, everybody dies. If the tank screws up, everybody dies. So why not the DPS? That happens in raids quite a lot because, of course, if you lose a DPS, you might fail the hard in rage and things like that. But in the case of 5-mans, it's very rare that a DPS dying will absolutely wipe you out. Hell, we saw on Corborus, we actually managed to beat it, and that is easily the hardest 5-man I've ever done in terms of encounters. Easily the hardest boss. No question about that. And yet we can still do it without a full group. Think about that for a second. That doesn't seem like the kind of thing that should be happening in New Heroics. I would like to see that changed, especially on trash. Also, yeah, this could be changed. If you fall off the boat, you gotta go all the way around. Now, I assume that's just so you gotta run the gauntlet of cannon fire again, but oh god, how irritating is that? It's my own fault, to be honest. And yes, I was getting laughed at, needless to say. And I deserved it, I might add. It reminds me of the normal mode Stonecore video, actually, where the tank was complaining that we were doing things wrong, and some people, I would say bleeding hearts, oh god, my face, that hurts, by the way. Just FYI, if you want a this is gonna kill me mechanic, I think that qualifies. It's Frogomac 2 right here. Alright, the tank from that Stonecore video, the normal mode, was complaining about mistakes that we were making, and a lot of people on the video said, well, you know, I hate people like that tank. How dare he? Well, he dares because he's right. And do you take offense to that? You mean taking offense to the fact that you screw up in an instance or whatever, if you're in that group, and the guy's saying, oi, up your game? I don't understand that, honestly. Why would you have a problem with that? Why would you get upset over that? It's his group as well. You gotta bear in mind that you're not the only guy there. There's 4 others. Reminds me of that ridiculous quote that I read on the WoW EU forums, I think it was last week, where someone was complaining that they were brand new to level 80, they went straight into Heroics, they got kicked out of a group, and then they complained on the forums and said that if you use gear score, you should be banned, because apparently they referenced his gear score, and they were abusing the vote kick tool, so they should be banned for abusing the vote kick tool. Right, well, last time I checked, 4-to-1 majority vote is not what I would call an abuse, by any stretch of the imagination. People need to get it into their heads. And yeah, this is going to be a bit of a rant. I mean, what am I going to talk about here? It's just generic trash. There's a cannon. Okay. It's not easy, but it's not difficult, and there's no specific strategy required. Just shoot them. Done. Shoot them lots with cannon. Use some crowd control. Don't be dumb. End of discussion. Regarding what they actually have to get into their heads, it's the fact that they are just one player. And a 5-man group consists of 4 other people, and their enjoyment greater than yours. If a 5-man group does not want an undergeared person in their group, they are well within their rights to get rid of them. You might not think it's very nice, but that's what guilds are for. And the idea that, oh, well, guilds are just for elitists and people that have 40 hours a week to spend on the game. Oh. The irony being, of course, the people that usually complain about that spend 40 hours a week on the forums whining about it, but apparently they're so very, very busy, of course. Yeah. It's nonsense. I wish people would just understand what guilds are really for. They're there to help you out. They're there to have a social experience, and guilds are all different. Some guilds are designed for completely casual play. Some guilds are hardcore. But a guild is just the best way to play. It's just the most fun way to play. Give it a try. Hell, come join trollface.jpg. We're taking in everybody. It's going to be a big, big guild. I'll show you what a guild's all about. Now, let's show you what a boss is all about, shall we? This is the final boss. Wait, no, it isn't. As it turns out, this is not the final boss. It's not even the penultimate boss, in fact. Unbelievably. But he is one of the most boring bosses in here, which is rather unfortunate. Now, this guy goes by the name of Admiral Ripsnarl. He is a worgen. And he seems to like the taste of you. Now, what does he do? Not a lot. You hit him a bit, and he does this. He creates a bunch of fog. He'll create these wisps. Kill the wisps before the wisps merge together and make a big wisp. Then Ripsnarl will appear halfway through and start doing damage to you again. Hit him. Don't let that happen, because that can be unpleasant. Doesn't kill you, but hey. You don't want them to coalesce together. Hit him, hit him, hit him. Heal the tank. He runs away again. Does the same thing. And that's it? What? What is this fight? Really? Nothing's happening. Yeah. I am not impressed by this, honestly. I think this is something Blizzard really needs to have a look at. When I do say half a fight, I do mean half a fight in this case. It just doesn't have anything going for it. Like, it will occasionally run and hit somebody else. There will be more fog. There will be more wisps. You kill the wisps. Done. I say wisps. They're kind of elementals, but whatever. Wisps of fog. I'm not impressed by this. This is a no-effort fight. No effort in terms of the design at any rate. He will aggro reset, by the way, if he disappears and reappears, as I recall. Because you see, here is the true boss. It's Cookie. Captain Cookie, in fact. And he throws pieces of rotten meat at you from his evil cauldron of doom. Don't eat it. It's got a nasty stacking dot. However, if you eat the good stuff, then nice things happen. Oh yes, you get a stacking buff. It's a ridiculous buff. It's haste. Eat the delicious steak, it says. And then apply DPS to this boss. This is a fun boss. I wish they'd do more with it. It's like, yeah, cool, it's a gimmick, I know, but can we just make this a proper fight? It's not like you can die from this. I mean, really. But it is awesome that Cookie is in here. I'll give him that. And hey, it's more loot. Can't really complain. I am looking forward to a new Cookie's Tenderizer. Oh, yes. But that's not actually the end. No, it is not. We thought it was. But it seems that a note has dropped to the floor. You do have random quests here. They're actually level 20 at the moment. I assume they'll scale them properly eventually. We'll do a little bit of a flex, and then I will show you the special bonus event. And this is the coolest bit of the entire dungeon. We thought, I thought there were more bosses. Well, as it turns out, there are. One more, in fact. You remember I was saying that the new Van Cleef is involved here. Yes, here we go. This is Van Cleef's daughter. Now, she's been hanging around, and she's not really big into the fighting. She's bigger into screwing you over with many, many evil poisons and create a nightmare elixir. Oh god. Yes, it's an event. It's a gauntlet event whereby you're going to do all sorts of different things. In this case, we've got to escape first from being burned in that nasty pot, and we have to go through the various nightmares of the bosses that we've killed. This is Glubtok's nightmare, and we have to get the hell out of here. It's a lot of fire and ice. This reminds me a little bit of Max Payne, actually, running through the burning buildings, trying to avoid falling debris and things like that. It's one big drug-induced haze. Got to be very, very quick. You don't take a lot of damage from it, so it's not really all that hard. Just make sure you don't get hit by the falling ice. Now, the second nightmare. Now, Helix was the guy on top of the big lumbering oaf. In Helix's nightmare, well, I hope you're not arachnophobic, because you're going to be covered in spiders. This is actually kind of hard. There are so many spiders, and bear in mind, we got loads of AoE, but we barely survived this. So much stuff. Lost one mage already, trying desperately to stay alive right here. Here's the ice block. Taking more damage. Oh god, my face. My horrible and beautiful simultaneously face. Get it off me. Ah. Oh yeah, and send him a big spider just to make it matters worse. You almost die, and then you've got another thing to run through. You can be resurrected here. There doesn't seem to be a timed element of this. This is Frogamac 3. This is even more tricky. My spatial awareness is horrendous, So I decided to run through here and see what actually happens. I end up getting caught in the middle and getting zapped by these things. You've got to kill those really fast because they will destroy you otherwise. Those mobs have to be annihilated. Now, the funny thing about this is it appears to be a one-shot event. If you fail it, that's it. You don't get to retry it. So I assume this is for bonus loot and a bonus harder mode boss fight at the end, which is very neat. Very cool indeed. A big fan of this. If you die in the middle of this bit, then you're basically boned, because the next bit is timed. This is about Ragnar and everything that goes wrong with him, and you have to save, I believe, either his wife or his daughter or whatever, and since we're not quick enough, we actually fail. And that'll be it. I will come back here and I'll do the full event for you, because this is awesome. It's really good. This is the best gauntlet I've ever done. It's so very, very cool. She's taken so much damage, but we just can't AoE and kill them quick enough. We fail here, she dies, and as a result, the nightmare elixir wears off and we all die instantly, and that's a wipe, and that indeed is the end of discussion for that one. You cannot go back, you cannot do it again. Whether or not that's intended, I don't know. I would ask Blizzard to keep it that way. Conclusion, ladies and gentlemen. Heroic Deadmines. Okay. There is actually some genuine innovation here. It's not what I'd call a particularly hard dungeon, but again, I think it serves the purpose. And the purpose is to be a nostalgia trip and a look at a dungeon that, say, the Horde didn't really get to have too much experience with. It's a good remake. I think some of the fights could be tuned up a little bit, honestly. The trash is pretty enjoyable, but again, those trash can be very easily outgeared. It's not a bad dungeon. It's not the best one I've ever seen, but I think people are going to get a kick out of it. I just think Blizzard needs to have a look at the mechanics again and maybe spice things up just a little bit. Buff Captain Cookie, ladies and gentlemen. Very important. My name's been Totalbiscuit. That was part 2 of the Heroic Deadmines. As I say, I will come back and I will do the event in full and not screw it the hell up. Oh, we had no idea what to expect there. We completely mucked it up. We were panicking, and yeah, it was my fault. I ran in there. I got owned. Simple as that. It's what happens. But hey, not a bad dungeon at all. I'll see you next time.